This Sunday, we celebrate the second week of Advent. A major theme in Advent, of course, is hope. We hope that in 20 plus days, Christ will be reborn on Christmas Day in our hearts, homes, schools, workplaces, and hopefully throughout the world. Recently, evil has visited us, first in Paris, now in San Bernardino, California, where horrific events that are unspeakable, incomprehensible, have plagued us once again. That's why the first reading of this weekend's Mass is so important. It comes from the writings of Baruch, who worked alongside the great prophet Jeremiah. It was during a time that was just the darkest moment of the Jewish people. Their country had already been plundered twice by the Babylonians. And King Nebuchadnezzar, this Babylonian king, marshaled his forces for a third time, this time murdering thousands of Israelites. His forces destroyed the temple, which was the center of all Jewish life. He burned Jerusalem to the ground. He stole everything that wasn't nailed down, including the sacred vessels and vestments used in the most profound ceremonies in the temple. He enslaved the majority of the Israelite population and carted them off in exile to Babylonia. And yet, this brave soul, Baruch, stands in the midst of a burning city made just of rubble, with no hope whatsoever, and calls the small group that escaped this persecution to take off their robes of mourning and to look eastward, that is, toward Babylon. In other words, he was encouraging the people to hope against all hope, that God was about to perform a miracle, that Jerusalem would be rebuilt, the temple would be rebuilt, and all the exiles would come back home. Don't we need this kind of hope in the midst of these terrible atrocities that have plagued us in these days? Terrible things do happen in our lives, personally and around the world. We are stunned for a while, perhaps angry, but we shouldn't ever lose hope. Why? Because we know that our leader, our Savior, the suffering servant, the one that Isaiah and all the prophets tell us about, Jesus Christ, defeats death itself. In other words, evil will never reign. Goodness will always win the day. And so we must hope. People look to us to hope for a brighter future. Hope is not just a catchphrase for this Advent. It is the way we live. It is the cornerstone of our life.